special edition. We are going to have an exclusive interview with His Honor, Justice Kabinah Janet. A lot of you have been waiting for this interview. It is finally here. And I have joining with me a very brilliant patriot. He is the host and presenter of Focus on Liberia. A big brother has accepted our invitation to join us as guest hosts. So two of us are going to be hosting this interview, Martin K. and Colley and Mr. Ansoni C.A. We are going to be asking the hard questions to His Honor, Justice Janet, relative to his latest victory at the ECOWAS court. So wherever you are joining us, we want to invite you to another fascinating edition of the podcast, Voices from Ezra, VEX for short. Like we said, keep hitting the share button, keep hitting the like button, keep hitting the heart button. As I turn over to Mr. Ansoni C.A.
Thank you, Martin, and I'm happy to join you as a guest co-host in this yet another edition of VEX, that is Voices from SI. And it is my honor to be here joining you to interview His Honor, Justice Kabinah Janet. He is a household name now in Liberia and also in every Liberian community in the diaspora. And so it is an honor to be here to join you in interviewing him. He pulled a legal victory, something that many people did not expect. And so we are here to ask him questions, like you said, the hard questions as to how this all started in Liberia, and then at ECOWAS, and finally he got that victory. That will be a long journey. And so, folks who have joined us here on this edition of X, we can welcome you enough. Martin Selle, keep hitting that share button. We want thousands of Liberians to listen to this astute statement, Justice Janet, as he opens up to answer some questions on what that happened. At this time, on behalf of VEX, I have the honor to welcome the man, Honorable Kabinah Janet. Justice Janet, welcome to VEX. We are happy to have you, sir.
Thank you very much. And I'm very delighted to be on this program today with you people. Thank you so much.
All right. You heard it there. That is the voice of Justice Kabinah Janet. He is
so
here.
Those of you,
go ahead, Martin.
So those of you who have not seen Justice Janet, you just saw him. That's Justice Janet, and we are so pleased. We are grateful to him for accepting our invite. You know, since the victory of Justice Janet at the ECOWAS court, he is about to break silence. He is about to speak to our nation. He will not only be speaking to Liberia, but he will be speaking to Africans across the country. What does his victory really mean for Liberia? What does his victory mean for Africa? What has he been through? Because this has been a real tough journey for His Honor, Justice Janet. Finally, his innocence has been proven, not by the Supreme Court of Liberia, but by a higher court, a regional court, the ECOWAS court. So Ansoni has already welcomed Justice Janet. We want to go straight into it. So on this note, fellow Liberians, wherever you are joining us, this is Voices from SI with activist Martin K. and Colley. Our guest host is Ansoni C.A. from Focus on Liberia. So, Justice Janet, let's begin with the first question. A lot of people have already tuned in, and they are listening. Some of the local radio stations and television stations are going to carry this live podcast because you are not an ordinary person, a very prominent lawyer and Associate Justice of the Republic of Liberia. So the first thing we want to know, Justice Janet, like Ansoni said, the name Kabinah Mohammed Janet is a household name in Liberia. But some people really do not know who Justice Janet actually is. Can you briefly tell us about your background in terms of education experience, expertise, especially your journey as a prominent Liberian lawyer. How did you achieve this milestone? Who actually is Justice Janet?
Thank you very much. Kabineh Mohammed Jane is from a small city in Nimba County called Ban City in Zoget district. There I was born onto the parents uh, Kamosuri Jane and Tenen Kituri. And I'm one of 15 children, most of whom are deceased. I started my early education under the tutelage of my father, who was a prominent Islamic cleric in Nimba County, particularly in Bang. There he ran an Islamic school which was dedicated to the propagation of Islamic faith. Uh, Through that, in fact, the most powerful paramount chief in Nimba County at the time, Ume Twazama, converted to Islam and visited Mecca. So my father's basic engagement was in the ministry. Then we moved to Monrovia, where the Muslim community had asked him to move to replace or to occupy a vacant seat of the chief imam at the time who had passed. And then while in Monrovia, I started Western education, what I usually call by accident of history. There was no plan to send me to any former Western school because the predominant view in the Muslim community in Liberia at the time, and by extension West Africa, was that Western education was used to disengage Muslim students from following Islam. In the case of Liberia, the educational philosophy was to Christianize and civilize the natives, which in fact provided a basic pretext for many adherents to Islam in Liberia to say that we can't send our children over there because they're going to become Christians. And whether this is true or not, that had been one major obstacle in Liberia, especially in the 60s and the 70s. And unfortunately, most of those who venture to send their children to Western school, unfortunately, found themselves in that very situation where almost all the children converted to Christianity. And I'm making reference to the likes of Mamadou Dukle, who was the first, what they call native Liberian to be appointed as Secretary of State. And you have a host of other people, the Yekesins, the Selif. So that in fact provided a basis for many people, including my family, not to send their children to Western school. But fortunately for me, I had a neighbor who became quite interested in me because I sat by his children and just learned the ABC, the primary, Prima 1, Prima 2. So he said to my father, you got to allow this boy to go to school. So there was a church school near me, near our house called Matilda Nibo Foundation School. So that's where I started my my education. Interestingly, when I got there the first day, I think I was the biggest boy in that class, and I was second grade because the teacher whom had thought that I was ready to enter second grade. So they asked me a few questions to read certain things, and then they put me in second grade. But then that first day, interestingly, the teacher asked me, "What's your name?" So I said, "Kabineh Jane." So when I named that, ah, so I said, "That's the name they gave me." Oh. No, 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 we'll give you Queenie. We'll call you Paul. So I sat until lesson was over. But I said, no, it looked like I have to summon some courage to tell the teacher that if you insist that my name be changed to any Western name, that will be the end of my schooling. So I sat, waited until later here. What are you still doing here? I said, teacher, I want to talk to you. Now, I don't know where that courage came from, but I'm someone that courage to say to him, I want to. Then he said, you want to talk to me? I said, yes, sir. I said, come. When I said, teacher, this name you gave me, so they pour me. In my pa here, you will not let me come again. And I want to come school. I think God spoke to him because he looked at me for a few seconds without uttering a word. Then he said, okay, what you say your name again? I called the name. He said, okay, will rain any kind of way? I said, yes, sir. Well, those were the good days. Anyway, that's how the school started.
Mhm.
And we went through. And then my father became my biggest supporter.
Okay.
And then when I graduated from Zion University, Zion Academy, I went to the University of Liberia and later on to the law school in Liberia. And then we did few traveling, including Egypt, Europe, and America.
Right.
So that's the man they call Kabineh Jane. I started my public service uh, at the Freeport of Monrovia, which I cherish very much because I tell people that my interactions with particularly the crew people who were the predominant group in the port at the time
Mhm.
sort of gave me some acculturation.
What? The crew people are noted for throwing blows. Did they teach you how to throw some blows?
No, no, no. We did that many times, but
Okay.
what I found
Mm.
about them was that it's just the noise making, but
Mm.
they are some of the best people in terms of character and just liking people, fraternity.
Mhm.
That's what I learned about them.
Okay.
So they became my friends and other things, and they really helped me, especially going through the University of Liberia, both at the undergraduate and at the law school.
Okay.
So sometimes I say that there are certain crude tendencies in my making,
So
which
so
I
so what?
learned and I grew
Justice
from
Janet,
the
what kind of help did they give you along the way that you're talking about?
For example, my
Mm.
supervisor
Mm.
will allow me whenever I have some challenges with doing research,
Mm.
doing term paper,
Mm.
he will give me the time to go.
Okay.
And then he will say to me, just make sure come back, the paperwork that you have here, you do it. And he did that for me in a way that if I didn't have that opportunity,
Mm.
I'm not sure it would have been that kind of smooth sailing for me. Yes.
And so then you started school at a university. You went to Louis Arthur Grant School of Law. Tell me about that experience and the journey there.
You know, those days, it was like few years after the coup,
Mm.
the law school was still run very conservatively.
Mm.
Sometimes, even for the professors,
Mm.
if you call your name, sometimes you say, oh, what kind of name is that? But again, that was the general state of affairs in Liberia at the time.
At the time,
But
yeah.
it was kind of good, yeah. But it was kind of good, but very challenging because I think, and up to today, there is this subtle tendency for the legal profession to just be kept very close, very, very close. A fraternity that doesn't easily welcome others coming. But those days it was even a farmer grip from that standpoint.
Mhm.
But it was a good thing because we made a lot of friends. Some of the professors were very nice people, very kind, and they helped us to grow in the system.
Thank you. Thank you. I have to ask the question, and as a doyen of the legal profession, what has been your role as Associate Justice in building an independent judiciary and maintaining the integrity of the court during your time there?
Okay. That will take me to my major entry into legal practice.
Okay.
Uh, I work with a number of lawyers, including uh, one Councillor Snosio Nigba.
Mhm.
He was the one who held my hand under his armpit and took me to the courtroom for the first time. He kind of he became my mentor now, and then he basically made me to grow directly under his supervision.
Mhm.
And then I work with other people. And those first days, my interest was mainly in the area of human rights protection.
Right.
And then thereafter, when I ran into some problem with President Taylor, I had to leave the country. But up to that point, my focus was mainly to say, how do we help people who have no significant appreciation of how the law works in Liberia? So when I came back and I became Minister of Justice, two things for me were very important, and I tried to focus on that.
Okay.
First, I wanted to ensure the strengthening of the criminal justice system, looking at the laws. Because in Liberia, when you look at the constitution, the the right to speedy trial is a right stated clearly in the Liberian constitution that when you are accused of committing crime, you must be accorded speedy trial. But the system is built in a way that we have very long detention period, pre-trial detention. And the system, the law is such that when you look at the way it is handled, take for example, someone is accused of committing a crime.
Right.
And then if it is not what you call minor crime, it is anything like felony, that person must first be indicted. So a man could be taken, could be charged, indicted,
Mhm.
and sent to prison maybe because he could not be given a bond
Mhm.
and could stay in jail there for up to 6 months without being tried.
So what did you do to change that, Justice Janet?
Okay. What we did then was to two ways as Minister of Justice. The
Mhm.
first thing we did was to set up a system to see how you can deal with that. Because unfortunately, it is the Liberian constitution that says any crime that is more than a minor crime, you must be charged through the indictment system. In other words, You have to get jurors to come and sit down in something they call grand jury. And between you and me, I find that law as very terrible law because you ask yourself, what is the utility of this law? You have a bunch of people who understand little or nothing about the law, the average person who come together, and then you have this big lawyer, the prosecutor, coming to stand in front of them and lecturing them and telling them how much wrong this person has committed against the state and asking them, you don't think we have probable cause to proceed? And this man is in jail. Maybe he been there 6 months. And until this indictment is brought and presented before a court, that person cannot be tried at the circuit court. So what we try to do that time, because we couldn't just set it aside because it's in the constitution, you got to go through constitutional amendment, all of that. We developed a system we call magistrate sitting, where magistrates were taken to the prison. Because we also realized that if you say bring the prisoner before the magistrate, most of the time that was difficult because of the logistical requirements.
Right.
So we took the magistrates to the prison and had us sitting there where people will be brought out and we'll ask them some questions. Why are you here? You know, those kind of things. When did you come here? Do you have bond? Because the issue of bond in Liberia is not necessarily an issue of just money to say you must have some building or some cash. The law also say that based on your personal recognizance, which means just looking at this, about this man here is someone in the community who is respected. Maybe yeah, he did it, he didn't do it, but is it possible that if you let him go, maybe under some moral authority? Take, for example, does he have a reverend or pastor in his community that he worships with who could vouch that the day you're ready for his trial, I will make sure he appears, or an imam? That kind of thing is also allowed under Liberian law. But those things were not fully exercised.
All
So
right.
we brought in a magistrate
Mhm.
to see how those things go. So that was one. The second one was
Mhm.
I was concerned about the independence of the judiciary.
Okay.
Because you see, the way the Liberian government is structured, we have three branches, or what you call three departments.
Mhm.
The judicial, the executive, and the executive and the the legislature or the legislative branches. Those two are the political departments.
Mhm.
The judiciary is that one that basically stands to say, you both, though you are political department, I am here to ensure that you operate under the law, under the constitution of Liberia.
Mhm.
So we call it the anchor of society. Now, but most of the time, because these two branches do not want to strengthen the judiciary, they do not want to give it the independence that the Constitution says it deserves, that is vested with, they will normally undermine the judiciary by many means. One being by giving it little of the resources it needs to operate effectively.
Okay.
So during my period, one of the things I did was to work with the legislature to ensure the passage of what we call the Financial Autonomy Act judiciary. That law basically states that the judiciary will prepare its own budget, stating all of the money it needs to be able to carry out its functions.
Mhm.
That budget proposal, if you like,
Mhm.
must be only reviewed and modified by the legislature, not the executive. The legislative can look at it and make some recommendation, but it can't change any figure. It is only the legislature that will have that authority, as stated under the Constitution.
And Justice Janet,
So
was
that
that
kind of
achieved? And if yes,
was passed,
was that
and to a
sustained?
large extent
Mhm.
was largely complied with for the last 12 years under Ellen Johnson Sirleaf.
Okay.
The second thing we did was to work on the rape law. That was our contribution.
Mhm.
The rape law today that had become like a very difficult challenge in terms of being able to administer it properly and protecting the rights of those who are accused of rape. So those are just few of the things. Of course, while we were at the Supreme Court, we were very instrumental in the establishment of the Judicial Institute, which was intended basically to train low-level judicial personnel who deal daily with the average person in terms of the kinds of problems that are associated with the justice system.
Thank you so very much. And folks watching us here, this is Voices from Exile with Martin K. and Colley. I'm Anthony C. I am here as a guest co-host to Martin Colley, as you
Hello,
are
are you hearing
aware.
me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Justice Janet. We can certainly hear you. We are here with Justice Janet. He is our guest, and we are having an exclusive interview with him. Justice Janet, can you stay here us? It seems to be someone had called him Martin, so it has compromised his volume there. Justice Janet, can you stay here us? He seems to be having some difficulty there. I was about to come to the crumbs of it all.
So probably,
Mhm.
probably he
Hello,
can come back.
Yeah, yeah. Justice Janet, can you hear
are you
us?
hearing me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, and that is the downside.
I'm not hearing you. That's what.
Yeah, but we can hear you, and if you can't hear, it will be difficult to continue. You can leave and come right back. You can leave and come right back. We will appreciate that. But make sure you pull your phone in Do Not Disturb. Somebody call Justice Janet, and that has compromised the volume at his end, and he cannot hear us. Folks watching us, this is Voxes from Exile with Martin K. and Cully. I'm Anthony Sier, and I'm a guest co-host here in this edition in which we are having an exclusive with Justice Kabinah Janet. Justice Janet, can you stay here,
I'm
us?
having problem hearing you. Are
Yeah,
you hearing me?
I'm hearing you, but you can't hear me. You can leave and come right by. It is because someone tried to call you. So leave and come right by. It will correct the situation. Uh, leave and come right back. It will correct the situation. Can you hear me now? Just Janet is not hearing me. Um, just Janet is not hearing me. Martin, come back. Martin, come back in. Just Janet fell off. Folks, stay with us here. Saturday, Justice Janet is gonna join us. Someone called him, and that created a problem at his end. This is an exclusive with him. Uh, Justice Janet was removed, impeached, and removed from office while he was serving as Associate Justice at the Supreme Court of Liberia. A decision that he did not agree to, for which he took the matter to the ECOWAS court. And fortunately for him, there is a verdict that was handed down by the ECOWAS court in his favor. And so that is why we have having this exclusive interview with Justice Kabinah Janet. And we are trying, first of all, to get to know him a little more, who he is. Many of us have heard the name, but not much we know about him. And also we have been trying to look at some of his efforts in improving the legal system in Liberia. As you can see, Justice Jana is joining us right now. He is joining us, which is very, very good. He is joining us, which is very, very good. This is focused on this is verses from Isaiah. Just Jana, make sure you tap on the phone, and then if you do that, make sure you turn your volume on. We are still having some connection problem. He's back, but oh, technology, don't do this to us. He's trying to connect, but he seems to be frozen. People continue to call him, and that is what is causing this problem. We wish he had joined us on his laptop. That would have prevented this kind of issue that we are having. But stay with us. We can assure you that he will join us. He's here. It's just a matter of trying to connect everything. It's just a matter of trying to connect everything here. Martin K. and Collie, you need to come back in as well. Folks in cyberspace, bear with us. We are having technical difficulties. We should be able to resolve this. We certainly should be able to resolve this. Just bear with us for a moment. Bear with us here for a moment. We need to have this very important interview. We were just about to get to the section of the interview about what happened at the Supreme Court. What did he do for which he was impeached and removed from office? We need to get to that section, and that is why many of you are here. I see that he is joining me here. Tap on the phone and make sure you join with audio. Okay, Monty K and Colin, the host of Vex, is here. Martin, Justice Jana is making effort to join us. Somebody call him.
Yeah.
Mhm. Somebody call him, and that
Yeah.
just caused
Sure.
the problem. Yeah, I wish he had not had a hard time joining us on the laptop. That would have prevented this kind of technical glitch that we are having. But Martin, we have Justice Janet, why he's making effort to connect to us. Liberians are listening. You follow this impeachment proceeding as it took place in Liberia at the time. Here we are. And if we are to be looking at it in the eyes of the law, from the eyes of the ECOWAS code, he was wrongfully impeached and removed. I mean, that's what the lawyers are telling us. Just Janet, tap on your phone screen, and then you will see where it will say join with audio.
Just join with audio.
Yeah, join with
Just
audio,
join with audio.
and you
Justice
should,
Jana, and you come straight in.
yeah, join with audio. Tap on your phone screen and join with audio. That should be able to resolve that, and you will be able to hear us. And you will be able to hear us.
So while we are with Justice Janet, those of you who are watching, we encourage you to keep inviting others. We are about to jump straight into the conversation relative to why Justice Janet was impeached. We're about to ask the hard questions. Like Anthony said, this is a matter of national concern. Therefore, we've chosen to host His Honor Justice Kabinah Mohammed Janet to just tell us how he feels about his legal victory at the ECOWAS court the government of President Weah initially said he was indictable, so they had to go through a very tough ride relative to impeachment. And from the very beginning, Ansoni, let me just inform you and the Liberian people that we stood by the side of justice.
Right.
We stood by the side of Kabinah and Janet because we knew he was being harassed. We knew that he was being witch hunted. So we even had a massive protest. I was one of the 3 leaders of that protest, calling on the legislature to halt such an illegal proceeding relative to his impeachment. So today we've been vindicated by history. We've been vindicated by history. The ECOWAS court has proved that the verdict of Chief Justice Kwakwa was not only ill-judicial, but it was inaccurate and imprecise. So the innocence of Justice Janet has been proven. As we are with Justice Janet, those of you who are watching this podcast, Voices from Exile, we encourage you to keep hitting the share button, hit the like button, hit the heart button. Justice Janet will soon be with us. He's experiencing some technical faults, technical problems. You know the other side of technology. We don't need to tell you. So as we are with Justice Janet, we are here, fellow Liberians, talking about the issues, talking about the independence of our judiciary, talking about how the judiciary is being politically influenced. You listened to the intro of Justice Janet. He was very succinct, clear, and he made his points. So we are about to get into the real issue, Anthony. And it's good that you are on with me this morning, this afternoon, this evening. It's my pleasure to have you on, Anthony, a very brilliant patriot and presenter of Focus on Liberia.
And one thing, talking about the decision handed down by the ECOWAS court, the what I'm thinking is whether the Liberian government will be able to implement the decision of the court or abide by the decision of the court. That is something we'll certainly ask Justice Janet when he comes back. But we will also want to know what happened. What did he do wrong for which he was removed from office. But I was just wanting you to comment on how the Liberian government is viewing, this decision handed down by the ECOWAS court. I heard that, the ECOWAS court might make some effort. If the Liberian government refuses to carry on the decision, then there will be sanctions. I don't think we need that at this time. The country is challenged. Why are your thoughts?
Quite frankly, Anthony, as an activist and a former student leader in Liberia, the Liberian government has got no choice because we are a signatory to the ECOWAS Protocol of 1993 that established the court. Right. So we've got no choice but to implement the verdict of Judge Edward Asante. He is currently in chambers at the ECOWAS court. His ruling was very clear in 2 folds. Number one, he said Justice Janet should be reinstated in a period of 6 months. That should happen. And he should also be paid 200,000 United States dollars for the violation of his rights. So there are 2 different angles of the verdict. Number one, Justice Janet should be reinstated by the Liberian government as Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of Liberia. This means that Justice Yusuf Kaba will have to come back to the subordinate court as Justice Janet goes back to the Supreme Court, holding all factors constant. Secondly, the Liberian government will have to pay 200,000 United States dollars in damages / entitlements. So this is it. They've got no choice. I listened to the Chief Judge, Edward Amoko Asante. He was very clear. If the verdict of the court is not adhered to by the Liberian government, there could be possible sanction, be it economic sanction, political sanction, or diplomatic sanction. There could be possible sanction. I listened to him on the Voice of America with Jim Botti. He was very clear,
Mhm.
and he has given the Liberian government 6 months
And oh wow, we still.
to implement the verdict of the ECOWAS court. On now. Do we have on now? On now.
I think he's here, but it's like things are frozen up here, so I can't see him.
But I think he just needs to.
Yeah. Hmm. It's kind of difficult now to get him back in.
He needs to go off.
Hmm.
He needs to go off and come back the same way.
Yeah, and,
What
and,
do you
and that
think?
is what he's trying. Martin, I want you to leave.
Okay,
Uh,
let me leave.
leave.
Let me
This is what
leave.
you should do
Let me
now.
leave
Yeah,
and
listen,
give him a
Martin.
chance to come. When he
Martin,
comes, then I'll come.
Martin, listen now. If you leave, get his email, and then let me email the invite. Sometimes it makes a difference. So get his email and send it to me. Let me email him the invite. Sometimes it will make a difference. All right, and let's
All
try
right.
that. All
All
right.
right. No problem. Okay.
Yeah, you can leave now. I will try to hold things constant here. I will try to hold things constant here. Um, all right, folks. Again, this is Voxes from Ezra with Martin Kian Cully. He is your host. I am in today as a guest, co-host. We are having Justice Kabinah Janet, Justice Kabinah Mohammed Janet, uh, serve as Associate Justice at the Supreme Court of Liberia, a position Y7. Uh, he got impeached because of reasons that were reported, one of which having to be that he have granted a prohibition filed by the petroleum dealers in Liberia. There was an importation, there was a levy of 0.25, which is, I believe, 25 cents for those of you who know money. And he granted that prohibition. And that money was taxes levied by the Liberian government in an attempt to raise money um, for roads construction in Liberia. The petroleum dealers argued at the time the impositions of that additional tax, who have led to the increase of the petroleum products in Liberia. And Justice Kabinah Janet granted that prohibition, thereby stopping government from collecting that 0.25 cent. And so it was reported that that was one of the reasons the government of Liberia had problem with him. But then we heard about he being accused also of taking money from one old lady. That also played out as we followed the case at the time. But we are certainly going to get Justice Kabinah Janet back. So stay with me here. Stay with me here. Stay with me here. We will certainly, I can assure you, we will bring him back. We will definitely bring him back here to answer this question. And I certainly really wanted to know um, what happened. What did he do wrong for which he was impeached and removed from power? I'm curious to know that. What was his crime? Let's hear from the house's own mouth. Again, we continue to make all the effort we can to bring back on Justice Kabinah Janet so that he can give his side of this story. There was a big story in Liberia. It was a major political decision by the first branch of government, along with the judicial branch of government. The man was removed, something um, many historians might tell you is not common in any country's political history. But that happened in Liberia, so it was a breaking news. It was a precedent that was set historically, and Justice Janet is making all effort to get back in here. He's making all effort to get back in here so that we can continue this interview. So we are doing all we can uh, to make that happen for you. So stay with us here. This is Voices from Exile with activist Martin K. and Colley. Martin has left to have just a Kabinah Janet to come back in. So we should certainly be fine. We are waiting, making all efforts. In the meantime, we have a little opinion pool for those of you who are watching from my local teams here. I see about 426 of you. And the pool is, do you think Justice Kabinah was legally impeached? You can answer definitely yes or certainly no. At the end of the broadcast, we may share the results with you. We want to know where you stand. There are people who are saying it was a political decision, whereas others are saying, well, though it may be political, but the decision was legally made, that the decision was constitutionally made. And John M. being a legal-minded character, said no. In no way was my removal or my impeachment legal and in line with the Constitution of the Republic of Liberia. And so, because he could not get justice from the Supreme Court, that arm of Liberia, of our government responsible for justice, he took his case to the ECOWAS court. He took his case to the ECOWAS court, and some people will say not surprising it, whereas others may say surprisingly, he put a major legal victory